Warren Buffett is often called the most successful investor in history, yet he has never been shy about expressing controversial opinions. He dismisses cryptocurrency, questions high-flying tech companies, and steers clear of trendy, next big thing ideas. Amazingly, despite skipping countless hot opportunities, Buffett's fortune soared well beyond $100 billion. But there is another surprising puzzle in his story. Why has he practically never invested in real estate? With houses, apartments, and commercial buildings considered safe by countless investors, how can this legendary billionaire see real estate as so unappealing that he has avoided it for his entire career? More importantly, should we reconsider real estate altogether? Think about it. How many investors do you know who have become billionaires thanks to real estate? Probably none, precisely because all the billionaires try to stay away from it. But does this mean that you could lose all your invested money? Let's see it right away. Buffett's reluctance to buy property stems from how he invests in general. His focus is on companies whose real worth surpasses the fear-driven prices you see in the stock market. He loves finding an undervalued gem, perhaps a steady business that investors are momentarily scared of, and then piling in. In his experience, this is smoother with stocks than with real estate. A solid corporation's earnings and growth are on public display, and you can spot opportunities as soon as panic sends prices plummeting. With property, the data isn't as easy to explore. A single house might look like a bargain at first glance, but local demand can change on a dime, zoning or regulations might shift, and you don't have the clean, transparent reporting that comes with listed companies. He also views real estate as a hands-on venture that drains time and energy. A portfolio of rental homes or commercial buildings is more than a set-and-forget approach. You handle tenant complaints, fix a water heater at 2 a.m, or worry that the local economy might sour and empty half your units. Even with a property manager, you face the possibility of big, unexpected bills and the stress of ongoing oversight. For Buffett, that's the opposite of his comfort zone. He prefers to read financial statements and rely on managers of the underlying company, rather than personally dealing with a broken roof or uncooperative tenants. To him, real estate is less like a quiet investment and more like running a second business. Another key point is real estate's slower growth curve. If Buffett buys a stock, it can double, triple, or quadruple in a matter of years if the business model flourishes. Real estate, while it can steadily rise over time, usually lacks that burst of exponential expansion. In many markets, home values move up in modest increments unless a speculative bubble lifts them unsustainably, only to send them crashing back when lending tightens or economic reality sets in. We saw that in 2008, when families lost homes to foreclosure and prices dipped drastically. What once seemed like a no-brainer nest egg turned into a drag that wiped out life savings. Buffett, who had ample funds to invest back then, chose not to scoop up real estate bargains, suggesting he still saw bigger gains and fewer headaches in stocks. He also points to risk. People often assume real estate is safe because you can see and touch it, but a physical building can become worthless if, for example, the neighbourhood's main employer relocates, crime rises, or flood damage makes the home uninsurable. With stocks, you can at least diversify by spreading your money among multiple sectors. But real estate typically requires big chunks of capital locked up in a single location. If that location falls out of favour, you're stuck, often for months or years while you try to sell. Worse, if you've borrowed heavily, you may need to keep covering mortgage payments, even as tenants vanish or repair costs soar. In Warren Buffett's world, unpredictability is an enemy. He invests in businesses that keep generating profits through thick and thin. Real estate can suffer quickly if the broader economy turns sour or if interest rates climb, making mortgages less affordable and freezing out many buyers. If you're forced to sell property in a bad market, you might take painful losses that wipe out years of rental income. By contrast, if a stock dips in price, Buffett can hold on to it easily. He doesn't need to keep making monthly payments or worrying about maintenance. He just waits for fear to subside. That's a simpler plan for him than dealing with property's unique set of pitfalls. Even if there is a nationwide crash in real estate, Buffett can invest indirectly by snapping up shares of real estate investment trusts, REITs, or large developers, letting professionals handle the details. That approach allows him to liquidate quickly if he spots a problem, while direct property ownership can take months to offload, sometimes longer if the market is truly distressed. He likes that extra flexibility. He also knows that many investors jump into property at the peak of enthusiasm, often using heavy loans. Once market sentiment sours, home values can plummet so sharply that investors find themselves underwater, needing to pour more money in or face foreclosure. He's seen this in multiple downturns, and it's another reason he steers clear. Buffett's stance raises a question. Can real estate be good for everyday people? It can, but only if you treat it like a serious business. That means researching neighbourhoods meticulously, factoring in costs for repairs, planning for long vacancies, and keeping an emergency fund for mortgage payments. Many folks overlook these realities. They assume property values always climb, or that renting out a place will be smooth sailing. Then reality hits. A burst pipe or a non-paying tenant can crush monthly returns. It's not that you can't succeed with real estate, but you can fail spectacularly if you underestimate the risks. On top of that, real estate often demands big down payments and constant upkeep. With stocks, you can buy fractional shares, reinvest dividends, and walk away with minimal ongoing fuss. If a particular company no longer looks promising, Buffett sells his shares and moves on. If your property sours, you can't just click a button and be free of it. You face closing costs and possibly months of searching for the next buyer. Meanwhile, you're on the hook for taxes, loan payments, and anything else that arises. Buffett's method is also about focusing on areas where he can gain a major edge. He has joked that real estate doesn't fascinate him the way businesses do. He has spent decades becoming an expert at spotting undervalued stocks, so branching into property might dilute his time and energy. He's a firm believer that if you're not willing to study something deeply and understand all its nuances, you shouldn't invest in it. Real estate is complicated on a local level. Zoning laws, property taxes, crime rates, plus the emotional quirks of buyers. For many, that might be exciting. For Buffett, it's just not worth the trouble. If you're worried about a future housing crash, Buffett's perspective serves as a cautionary tale. During boom times, people act like prices can't go down. In 2006, many borrowed too much for homes that later tumbled in value, losing everything. Even if we don't see a crisis of that scale again, real estate's big swings can happen regionally. A job market shift or a major natural disaster can make once desirable spots plummet. Without a cushion or backup plan, you might face a financial nightmare. Meanwhile, an investor who stuck to a diversified stock portfolio might see volatility, but can usually ride it out with fewer direct liabilities. Buffett does say that buying a home you can afford, especially with a long-term mortgage, makes sense if you plan to stay put. He respects the personal benefits of stable housing, but as an investment strategy, the real estate game has never lured him. He'd rather devote his resources to simpler, more scalable assets. While some property owners do build fortunes, they must be skilled and hands-on, ready for sudden crises. For every success story, there's another about a family who lost everything in a downturn. That leads to the heart of Buffett's message. Know what you're getting into before you jump on the real estate bandwagon. Ask yourself how much time you can commit. Are you prepared for worst-case scenarios where tenants leave or the property value drops 30% overnight? Can you handle expensive surprises that devour your profits? Do you have enough liquidity so you won't be forced into a fire sale if the economy slides? If not, real estate might bring more nightmares than gains. Buffett's caution should ring loud and clear if you're not ready to shoulder the burdens. Investors who cling to the idea that real estate is always safe might scoff at Buffett's viewpoint, arguing that plenty of people profit from flipping houses, renting out apartments, or building commercial developments. Yet the difference is that most real estate winners approach it as a day job. They follow local trends, maintain contractor relationships, and watch financing conditions closely. They expect trouble and plan accordingly. Buffett simply has no motivation to wrestle with all that. He can put capital into the stock of a great company in minutes, watch it grow through genuine business expansion, and reinvest the dividends or sell at will. For him, real estate's returns are rarely worth the labour and risk. This doesn't mean you must ban real estate from your life, but it does mean that if you view property as an easy ride, you might be in for a shock. Maybe you can handle the landlord grind, manage unpredictable tenants, or find undervalued properties in a region you know intimately. That's a different story. Yet even then, keep Buffett's lessons in mind. When confidence fades, real estate can plummet fast. It takes time, patience, and skill to manage it well. If you fall behind or ignore the warning signs, you could see your equity wiped out before you can act. In short, Buffett's real estate aversion reflects his entire philosophy. Avoid illusions of safety, stick to what you fully understand, and never forget that big collapses are always lurking around the corner. If you truly love the property market and are prepared to treat it like a full-fledged business, you might do fine. But if your only motivation is the false promise that land never goes down, you risk being blindsided. Maybe that's why one of the world's richest men, who has mastered the art of spotting value, steers so far away. Real estate might look stable, but for him it's a trap brimming with hidden dangers. And if it can't persuade Warren Buffett, it's a strong hint that you should be careful too. If you liked the video, like it and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos. And I'll see you soon.